empower them. And, you know, taking a step back, we were sort of cornered with the idea of having to set in place a lot of structure. I was telling this to Claire earlier today, but we were focused a lot on structure, which is trying to get a lot of those things set in place. Not everything's where it needs to be, but now we're in a place where we can start delegating and saying, hey, you know, we can't do everything. And we know that our bodies are telling us that we can't do everything. So yeah, you know, this is a great opportunity for us to be able to empower teachers. Thank you for doing this, Lauren.
So we have two points of new business that I think are pretty like hefty and great, and that's we're working on a homework policy and what that might look like, and then communication protocols. So we'll start, I think homework policy is going to be a little more cut and dry with the format that we usually use. We're just having a broad conversation, so we can just start there. So it was brought up, like, should we have a homework policy school-wide, and what would that look like? Would that be standard minutes per grade level? Would that be required reading only, or test prep only, or like, because I think that it's just so varied, I think is the reason that this got brought up. It's so varied across the school that parents might get frustrated with that.
Yeah.
Parents have been told, because the teacher got told all along the way that there will be a school policy. There will be a school policy. Well, will be just seems to be one of those things that you never quite get to will be. So tomorrow never comes. There you go.
Is that a reasonable thing though? I mean,
I don't care if it is going on. I just want us to say, oh, there's not going to be one, or there is.
what kind of homework they need on what particular day.
Obviously, I was the one that put that out there. I don't care if there isn't one. But we need to officially make that known instead of the will be, because.
I can tell you the perspectives of the parents. I'm not going to give like my thought process, but the perspective of the parents is varied. And so I have parents from, particularly in fourth grade, they're really good at like giving out homework all the time. And I get a lot of parents from fourth grade that are saying, oh, I don't know how to do this. Quite a few from third grade. Kindergarten, I get the opposite. They want more. Same with first grade. They want more. So it's a very, I don't know.
We had a parent last year who told her kid they said that she wasn't getting enough homework.
We in fifth grade right now. We have a parent that was talking to us and saying they may not be back next year because they don't have enough homework. We have a couple of parents from fifth grade. So.
Could I, I'm sorry, I'm over here and I'm sitting listening, and I know what the parents are saying, whether or not more or less. I think that I know we're talking about school policy. The kids should definitely, I believe, have homework, and whether or not the parents, I'm for the parents that want more, not for the parents that don't want any more. A certain standard, I believe, should be set on whether or not homework is going to be done at home and counted for. And if it's not counted for, then you have to deal with the repercussions of not doing your homework. I believe every child should have homework, and homework should be graded. And if the parents want, the more the kids do at home, the better grades they make at school. So giving the parents the option to say, oh, we don't want this, I don't think they should really have a choice of whether or not the kid gets homework. I mean, not to bombard the kid, but every kid should be doing something. And once the rules are set and standards are set, then we need to stand firm on our standards, whether or not they want it or not.
It's to a point where we just have to set the standard. I don't know what the standard is. So,
We do know that literacy is one of our issues at our schools, so I do think setting a standard reading time across the school would be reasonable. But I don't think, like, even if you say, okay, they should only get 30 minutes of homework, well, 30 minutes for one child is not 30 minutes for another. It's 10 minutes for one and an hour for another, so you can't even judge that. And grading homework is impossible. I'm sorry, I have 28 children. I'm not grading homework every single day of homework. It counts if you do it. If I look over it, we look over it in class, but I'm
growth academically. I know for the little ones, for the older ones, but for the little ones, we agreed, it doesn't happen this way, but we agreed not to give it as something in kindergarten that they would get a grade on, because we have, a lot of people older than the students, we'll just say, sometimes siblings, sometimes parents, sometimes grandparents, that actually do the homework for them, don't involve the children at all. Everything is absolutely perfect, and then they wanna know why their kids don't know up or down. Well, but their homework was perfect, yes, but we did it and they never saw it.
When I,
So, it's hard.
when I say grade homework, I don't really mean sit there and grade every single question. You should be responsible for doing homework, and as teachers, I know when my kids were younger, there were times where I helped my kids write their papers, and they'll get to the end part of the paper after writing so much, and they got tired, and I would write, well, every single time, like a little child, I got caught for writing for my child, because that was not my child's handwriting. And guess what? With the parent, you know, this is not the child's handwriting, this is not how this child thinks. So how could this child exhibit this work, and he can't exhibit this kind of work in my class?
So I think the main question, like, differences that I'm seeing in opinions is what is the purpose of homework? I think that's a bigger question that we need to answer. What is the purpose of homework, maybe in your classroom, but also at GAPS, like, and
To
then
strengthen what was being taught that day or that week, to strengthen what was being taught already in the classroom.
Yeah.
Reinforce.
Reinforce.
Not flip side.
And you see, for me, in my class, it is to reinforce, but I think a bigger part of homework in my class is to communicate with my parents what we're learning, to show them very concretely what we're doing in class, because we don't always do worksheets, but worksheets are the easiest thing to send home. But for them to be able to have a snapshot of what our class of work looks like.
So the other argument to that is that our demographics of parents have changed over the years.
Mhm.
And now in first, second, kindergarten, parents can still do homework, but in third, fourth, fifth, not so much. So parents become frustrated because they can't help their kids with homework. So homework should also be something the kids can do on their own.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I agree with that, and you know what, as teachers, we also, I know resources where if my kids don't understand something, they know to go, if they have access to a computer, to go online. They have teachers online, on,
Yeah,
YouTube,
they do.
teaching a whole lesson all over again. It's, accountability and teacher responsibility. And every child should, as they grow older and older, have some kind of responsibility and accountability. You are accountable to your own education. I understand why homework is needed, but do you really understand? And do you understand the rules of this class of doing homework?
I think, I don't know if this was said before, but I think one thing that might be really nice if we're gonna continue to give homework, which I know you both support us, is having a space, especially during the after-school program, to do homework. I know, Ms. Monaghan, Mr. Major usually does it when they're not doing state testing, but I know parents would really appreciate that. Because a lot of them, you know, while it's not a homework program, it's really hard to finish the school day at 5:30 and then go home and have to do, you know, 30 minutes to 45 minutes of homework.
Yeah, we keep calling it tutoring after school, but it's not really tutoring, it's the homework. It
It's
should
homework,
be,
yeah.
there should be a homework space. So to answer the question is, maybe the policy of our school should just be whatever the policy of the classroom is.
So no directive,
No
this
school-wide
special work,
policy.
So could it be that we send home,
something.
yeah, like, put it, we have a general format that says that whatever we send home says that this is the amount of homework you should see each week, within each subject.
We do it by grade level?
By grade level or by classroom.
Just let the teacher decide.
But it would say, this is what you should see each week.
I see.
Uh,
So the teacher would have to be consistent.
so
Okay.
it provides some consistency. The parent already knows on day one that they walk in and this is my classroom homework policy, and this is what you should see.
That sounds like a nice middle ground. It does provide some consistency for the parents, but it also gives the teacher the opportunity to design their classroom the way
can't do anything because they only pick up what they're learning in class, and then they may forget it. They're not applying what they learned, and it messes with it. It stagnates the ability to teach that child because the child is not consistently learning in every single aspect of the child's life. The child should be able to pick up on what they learned at school and apply it in different situations and think about it.
You also can't punish kids that can't do homework because of situations at home.
I was,
Yeah,
I was
that's
gonna
my-
change
that's
that.
why we
They can't, which is why we need space after school for them to do homework.
I was gonna say that my suggestion would be to have somewhere in whatever we see on as a homework policy, just how the homework would be graded or even just like taken in, you know, so that way the parents know that, hey, I understand that, you know, you may have had to work or whatever it might have been, so this is what's gonna happen, this is how homework is graded in my classroom. It's just a check mark, or it might be that, yes, I expect you to do this and this and this, or if the child is reading for 20 minutes, but it's just you signing that you heard them read for 20 minutes.
Yes, it's graded for, it can be graded for
Cumulative.
completion.
If we were gonna
And
create,
if they complete it, then we see the academic growth.
if we were gonna create, like the template for what a homework policy should include, what would that be? So how the homework's gonna be graded, the amount
Amount of time.
of time it should take per evening or per week? Or per subject?
I don't know how to do that, 'cause
Well,
like,
Well, they
What do you
depend
say
because-
something for,
Jake, you would take 10 minutes to do homework and tonight it would take 3 hours.
class or school-wise? Because if we're going to
That's a teacher.
give
parent.
each teacher
I would
the
almost
freedom
say
to create their own homework policy, it's gonna be rather difficult to create a general school policy with regard to time and would be.
Well, I think we're
really
just trying to, the
complicated.
policy right now is the teacher has, it's at the discretion of the teacher to create their homework policy. It's in the handbook,
So
so
we do
it's
have a
ultimately,
homework policy.
it's
Yeah.
just in
It's
the
just
teacher's
in
handbook.
the-
Guidelines.
And what if we give
There must be research somewhere that
There's
says.
a whole bunch of
appropriate
things.
Yeah, teachers should support either.
Can you put
end
that
of the
in?
spectrum.
Lauren, can you find out a general, just as a general idea, what is the optimal homework time for a child? And which
But I think it also can differ depending on like,
Yeah, it depends on
Yeah,
the child.
yeah.
Okay, so.
Let's say,
So we
you know,
can't
oh,
have a-
like third graders will get
That's kind of what we.
an assignment in language 3 times a week, or they'll
See,
get
I only
assignment
have-
science, something like that. I mean,
because some teachers do homework every night and some teachers do spend homework packet
I
for
only
the
have
week.
Asian
So I don't know if you can really say how much time they should be spending every night when like, if they could do the whole packet in 2 days.
So I think that the main issue that parents have when they say there's not enough homework is that they're afraid that their child's not getting enough resources to grow in the subject to be able to perform. And I think that if it comes down to it, maybe we just need to provide more resources, not necessarily this is mandated homework, but if this parent is so concerned that their child's not getting this far in whatever subject, there's 1,000 things we can send them to be like, well, here's what you can do to help.
As a
Right.
parent,
Technologies.
I'm sorry, guys.
Technology
Go
will
ahead,
improve.
as a parent, if my kid doesn't come home with homework for a month, I have no idea what they're doing in class. And 2, and I'm gonna be straight up with you, I'm thinking that teacher is too lazy to fix homework to send it home. That's quite, I'm really honest with you.
Right.
There's no reason why my child should not have homework
Yeah.
for a month. No way.
So what it's sounding like is we just need to set a guideline for teachers and homework on a weekly basis. You know, so that way, we know that something's going home instructionally on a weekly basis to the parents and to reinforce learning. How you do it,
It's at the
But
discretion.
it should be going
Yeah,
home.
but I think Ms. B has a very valid point for those parents. And just in general, some people are gonna say, oh, that's not enough, it's not enough.
Yeah.
There will never be enough for some people. So let's utilize technology, as Ms. Foster said, Ms. B, and provide resources
Very
and
true.
links and
Yes.
maybe someone could, I don't know how we're gonna start.
If they get done early, look on these sites.
Or
Yeah,
enrichment.
well, but
We're looking at iReady, which we
Yeah.
just learned a lot about yesterday, diploma access,
Yeah,
where to
iReady is
go
so-
level on that. You know, we have links with Khan Academy where they can do more and more on that.
Dreambox can be done at home.
I'm working with, I'm sorry, guys.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm working with a site, my site actually, and I'm gonna have all kind of interactive sites with my site. And I'm and that can always be extra. You can, you know, do this for extra grades. I believe in homework, and if you don't do my homework, you're not. If you have a C in my class, if you don't do my homework, then you may get a D because you just don't do homework. It can make or break you. Do your homework, and as far as extra, it should always have an opportunity for interactive sites and stuff like that. If the child has access to computers to go on and do stuff, I already have one interactive site that I made, and I'm trying to come up with other sites.
So for some students that don't have access like that, that maybe should be something we should look at, setting up an after-school blended learning lab, you know,
Or I know, like,
they don't
Miss
have it at
Ruby,
home.
when she like requires Dream access to her homework assignments, she comes in early and lets students come in early to work on the iPads, which I think is awesome.
So let me just, so we can keep moving, I'll just read the action steps that we have currently made, and if that sounds good and kosher, we'll move on. So teachers should provide a concrete homework policy for their parents at the beginning of the year and keep it consistent. This should include how homework will be graded, the amount sent home weekly, whether that's in pages, minutes, etc., based on the teacher, and then the school will provide extra resources for enrichment. And then I didn't put an action step about the blended learning lab, but I'm really into it. So it's in the minutes.
We may also want to incorporate a reading log school-wide.
Yeah.
Like literature is, are we?
Yeah,
It's
literacy
not
is
reading
our-
at home.
So we'll say that a reading log has to be included.
And that, maybe suggestion on, I
No.
don't know.
I like the idea.
Yeah.
But
I don't know, I think it should be on a broader
I just put reading
question.
Yes.
Could we, I don't know if it's something to add to the minutes, but I think it's really important. I feel like sometimes teachers don't really, they like find a really great resource, and they maybe are like, they see the first few pages and they're like, okay, great, this is perfect for homework, but don't realize that later in the packet, that it's something that they haven't covered before. So really making sure
It
that
does happen every
it's-
once in a while.
it's material that has either been taught in previous grade or it's already been covered by that teacher.
Usually,
got
I'll tell you what
that.
happens, we
Okay,
make
good.
homework
I'm
talk
sorry.
the week before, we make homework the week before, and then something happens on Tuesday where we have some and then I don't get to that lesson, and then they have it for homework that night, and then I get the
No,
phone
and
call.
that's,
But you know, so
no,
stuff
and
like
that's
that
totally
happens.
understandable, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's like wildly
So
not
we have,
supposed to be taught.
what is the purpose of homework? To reinforce daily lessons through already taught material and communication tool with parents.
A school-wide reading
Something
lab.
I wanna, you know, I used to give a homework, you know, as a foreign language. I learned this by fact that they don't do it, they can understand, parents tell me I don't speak Spanish, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so I talking because I hear parents telling me, if the homework tell me, I have a homework but I not understand, my child not understand. Well, okay, you know, when your child, Google it, research, do it better. So maybe need to be related with the unit, with the topic. So the parents clearly on the package say, we're learning animals, or we're learning body parts. So make sure that the team, the topic, the unit is gonna be on the package word. So the parents easy find out on the internet, what is it? Sentences, nouns, right? Sometimes the package confusing, that's what parents told me. And also they will let me know, oh, they never got on homework, that's what they review. I need to find out what my son failing, where is the homework, what is this and that, you know? And also teachers need to be prepared for those answers, right? And for those questions for the parents. How you grade the test? I never saw my kid. Do you give science job? Do you get what my son got an F or you in science? I never check my son's science. I check it and there's no homework, you know? So teachers be with more general, like the topic of the homework.
Examples or
Example, something, yeah.
More specific.
More specific, sir, that's the word. More specific about what they learning and this is what they're gonna do. So parents not understand, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just some of the things that we kind of buffer in the office a lot of times are, I do spend a lot of time like doing the worksheet with the parent and things like that, because especially in math, Eureka math is
Eureka.
I send home videos.
horrible.
It's horrible.
So,
Alright, text my
I didn't
parents.
say that out loud, but yes, it doesn't work very well.
Homework. you can read it.
But
There's a guy on YouTube that does it all with the kids. I send those videos and I send myself, I send videos of myself. I use this tripod and like face it and I like do, just for the beginning of lessons.
so So, you know, like I said, those types of examples, if you send those home with parents, I think that will kind of save a lot of, you know, the heartache that parents are seeing, especially in math. Just piggybacking off of what Olivia said, it's just that examples are very, very helpful. Even if you can kind of make a copy of your anchor chart or something that you did in class that's helpful to send home with the parents.
And for the curriculum that we're looking at for next year, on the homework pages, there's a section at the top that explains it to parents how to break down whatever skill or target was taught that day, and then comes the practice and work problems and that. So if you haven't seen that, go ahead and check it out. It's in where the supply room used to be.
So, our next topic of discussion is what communication protocols would make things at YACS go more smoothly and cut down on miscommunication and confusion. And I was kind of like bouncing off Mr. Bryan and I were just like talking about this topic in the collaboration station where we were collaborating, and kind of came to the conclusion that maybe we need to, before we can decide what those protocols would look like, we need to come up with a list of things, like a list of circumstances that might be benefited by communication.
Protocol.
So protocol, official communication protocol.
This is kind of broad. Are you
Yeah,
talking
it is.
about administration to staff, teacher to parents,
I think-
parents to
I think
All
everyone,
of them.
yeah, it is
That's
broad
why I like
because when
very
we look at
broad.
it,